Welcome to Ezra's Chronicles, a space where faith, poetry, and wisdom are embraced. Today is Saturday, the 8th of March, 2025. Like always, we review a poet. So without further ado, let's examine the life and work of Elizabeth Bishop. Tonight we journey into the life and poetry of Elizabeth Bishop, traveler, observer, and one of the finest poets of the 20th century. Her work, precise and deeply felt, reflects a world both immediately known and profoundly mysterious. Elizabeth Bishop was born in 1911 in Worcester, Massachusetts. Orphaned at a young age, she was sent to live with her grandparents in Nova Scotia. The loneliness of childhood, the vastness of the sea, and the sense of displacement would shape her poetry for the rest of her life. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with their intent to be lost, and their loss is no disaster. A poet of restraint, Bishop never revealed too much, yet her words carried deep emotions. Her poetry was marked by careful observation and almost painterly attention to detail and an underlying sense of longing. Bishop traveled extensively, finding homes in faraway places. Brazil, where she lived for over a decade, became a central influence of her work. It was here that she wrote some of her most powerful poems, drawing from the beauty and complexity of life in another land. Bishop. Think of the long trip home. Should we have stayed at home and thought of here? Where should we be today? Her poetry is filled with questions, quiet, persistent, and searching. Unlike her contemporaries, Bishop avoided overly confessionalism, instead focusing on landscapes, animals, and seemingly ordinary moments to explore deeper truths. In 1956, Bishop was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for her collection, Poems, 1955 through 1956. Despite her acclaim, she remained deeply private, hesitant about fame, always striving for perfection in her craft. Her final years were spent teaching and writing, her legacy cemented in works like Geography 3 and The Complete Poems. Bishop's poetry, though often tinged with melancholy, is ultimately about survival, resilience, and the beauty of imperfection. Bishop. Even losing you, the joking voice suggestor I love, I shan't have lived. It's evident the art of losing not too hard to master, though it may look like it. Write it, like disaster. Elizabeth Bishop, the poet of precision and quiet longing, left behind a body of work that continues to resonate. She taught us that poetry does not need to shout to be heard, that in the small details of life entire worlds unfold. I've randomly selected 3 poems from Bishop. The first poem is Little Exercise, the second one is Art, and the final poem is titled Visit to St. Elizabeth's. Little Exercise. Think of the storm roaming the sky uneasily, like a dog looking for a place to sleep in. Listen to it growling. Think how they must look now, the mangrove keys, lying out there unresponsive to the lightning in dark, coarse-fibered families, where occasionally a heron may undo his head, shake up his feathers, make an uncertain comment when the surrounding waters shine. Think of the boulevard and the little palm trees, all stuck in rows, suddenly revealed as fistfuls of limp fish skeletons. It is raining there, the boulevard, and its broken sidewalks with weeds in every crack are relieved to be wet, the sea to be freshened. Now the storm goes away again in a series of small, badly lit battle scenes, each in another part of the field. Think of someone sleeping in the bottom of a rowboat, tied to a mangrove root or the pile of a bridge. Think of him as uninjured, barely disturbed. One art. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day. Accept the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch, and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing isn't not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, like disaster. Visit to St. Elizabeth's. This is the house of Bedlam. This is the man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is the time of the tragic man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is the wristwatch telling the time of the talkative man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is a sailor wearing the watch that tells the time of the honored man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is the roadstead all aboard reached by the sailor wearing the watch that tells the time of the old man, brave man that lies in the house of Bedlam. These are the years and the walls of the ward, the winds and clouds of the sea aboard, sailed by the sailor wearing the watch that tells the time of cranky man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is a Jew in a newspaper hat that dances weeping down the ward, over the creaking sea of board, beyond the sailor winding his watch that tells the time of the cruel man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is a world of books gone flat. This is a Jew in a newspaper hat that dances weeping down the ward, over the creaking sea of board, of the batty sailor that winds his watch, that tells by time of the busy man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is a boy that pats the floor to see if the world is there, is flat, for the widowed Jew in the newspaper hat that dances weeping down the ward, waltzing the length of a weaving board, by the silent sailor that hears his watch that ticks the time of the tedious man that lies in the house of Bedlam. These are the years and the walls and the door that shut on a boy that pats the floor to feel if the world is there and flat. This is a Jew in a newspaper hat that dances joyfully down the ward into the parting sea of board, past the staring sailor that shakes his watch, that tells the time of the poet, the man that lies in the house of Bedlam. This is the soldier home from war. These are the years and the walls and the door that shut on a boy that pats the floor to see if the world is round or flat. This is a Jew in a newspaper hat that dances carefully down the ward, walking the plank of a coffin board, with the crazy sailor that shows his watch that tells the time of the wretched man that lies in the house of Bedlam. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed Elizabeth Bishop's work. It's very good. So, what do you think about it? I think it's great, and I hope to read more of her work. Well, this is Ezra Godson. I bid you farewell and Godspeed. Tschüss.